Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion's daily meditations on life. This time as Eden, not as Random, because Random's been a little touch and go lately, wouldn't you say? WX2R09Y3. Stats. Look. Bumbo want coin. You know Bumbo comes out soon? I don't want to insult yesterday's episode, because it went amazingly. Now, we're in a weird spot here because we just got Mom's Knife, perhaps the single most powerful and run-defining item in the entire game. Along with Bumbo, which is actually really good too if we give him a bunch of money. But, go ahead, Bumbo. What I was gonna say is, yesterday's run started real poor. And it ended, like, absurdly strongly. Maybe this is the start of, dare I say, streamer luck. I'm not gonna say we've been out of streamer luck for a while. Perhaps we've had luck that is more in keeping with the standard amount of luck that you would expect someone to have. But I gotta say, you know, Kate and I went out for Pokemon Go Community Day. We were out for an hour and a half. In that hour and a half, I caught 5 shinies. She caught 0. Now, she did catch a few Turtwigs after that point, which I was thankful for, because, you know, this is being sincere, I would rather have her catch them than me, because I don't really care that much. Moreover, you know, you just want the best for, you know, the person that you love as well. Obviously. Forehead. But, at the same time, I was like, you know what, maybe this is the start of the return of NL luck. We've been, maybe NL luck is real, or maybe believing it's real is an important thing. Whether it's real or not, believing it's real lends us a certain power and gravitas, the likes of which cannot be understated. Can I just say, like, look, I feel like we need this run. Did we get Mom's Knife within, you know, 45 seconds of the start of the episode? Yes. Am I going to apologize for it? Profusely. It's in my cultural DNA, you know? The Canadians were great apologizers. One of the things the current Prime Minister gets criticized for is, I mean, there's one of two things, really. It's either, you know, he apologizes too much, or he apologizes so much, but he won't apologize for the things he's supposed to apologize for. There's a surprising amount of discourse in Canadian politics that comes down to who is the receiver of apologies, who's the giver of apologies. Was the apology given out sarcastically or in earnest? And I'm not talking about earnest, scared, stupid. It's a whole thing. You know, if you're not Canadian, you don't get it. You probably get it. Okay, so we're at like full finances here. This one belongs to you, Bumbo. Why don't you go ahead? I don't really want that. We're gonna have a max level Bumbo like by the end of this floor, I think. We've had an unbelievable assortment of tinted rocks so far. I mean, I'm treating this one like a free win, more or less. Anyway, how was my weekend? It was a pretty good weekend, to be honest with you. Can I tell you like the littlest thing I did that was still like valuable? I found myself with some idle time, and I like idle time. Time where you're not supposed to do anything. You know why I like idle time? Is because I think if you have a surplus of idle time, it leads to boredom. And boredom, if you're consistently bored, that's like step 1 on the path of like getting a new skill or hobby, I think. Step 1 is like, I'm bored. Step 2 is I'm gonna do something about that boredom. You're like, do I want to play this game? Do I want to play this game? Do I want to play this game? No, 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 no. Then eventually you're like, okay, fine, maybe I'll learn how to build a spice rack. 10 years later, when you're claiming the blue ribbon and gold medal at the Lewiston, Kentucky woodworking pro-am competition, remember where you were. You were watching an Isaac episode that motivated you to get to that level. Oh my god, this run's good. But anyway, I was bored. And I was looking for something to do. I already did the laundry. I already did the dishes. Vacuumed the floor. I said to myself, you know what? Why don't I clean my keyboard? It's been a long time since I cleaned my keyboard. I got cats, you know. I eat and drink at my desk sometimes. I guess it's gross, right? Like, look at your keyboard right now. If your keyboard is not disgusting, you have good habits. If your keyboard... Did I use this, by the way? Because I'd love an orbital. I did. If your keyboard looks gross, don't be grossed out too much. I believe that's the norm, you know? And with Mom's knife, I don't think this is the right tool for the job here. But Tammy said otherwise. Very nice to consider. So I cleaned my keyboard. You know, I unplugged it. Got some cotton swabs. Got some paper towels. Got some rubbing alcohol. I didn't quite go to the extent of putting the keycaps, like pulling the keycaps off and cleaning under. I'm okay with a little invisible dirt. What Mama don't know won't hurt her. But visible dirt, you know, felt good to get it taken care of. Now the keyboard is like, it's not good as new, but it went from like, if you saw this in your friend's house, you would be like, they have some sort of serious problem, to like, it looks like a normal keyboard, you know? It's much better this way. If you haven't done it, here's how to tell if your keyboard needs a cleaning. You're gonna pick it up right now. You're gonna hold it over your head, like the John Cusack holds the boombox in Say Anything, and then you're gonna tilt it upside down, and then you're gonna give it a couple of shakes. If you find your head being covered by gross, disgusting dust, or crumbs, etc., it's time to take care of it. Mostly mine was just like, you know, cat hair, but feels good. Just a little, like, thing you don't think about that often, you know? Noticing that my keyboard was kind of disgusting. Cleaning it up. Now I feel a little bit better. Got a little bit of higher self-esteem. I'm not going to say that, you know, that led to me getting a couple of Apex Legends victories on stream with Kate, but I'm not going to say it hurt either. I mean, of course we did other stuff as well. It was, it's a very important weekend. Perhaps the most important, well, one of the most important holiday weekends. Depending on, you know, your culture. Is the Mid-Autumn Festival, also known, I don't know what it's called in Vietnamese and Chinese, but in Korean it's called Chuseok. And I hate that it's called that, because it really does sound like I'm gonna ask Chu to suck on my balls. But I apologize, it's not a family-friendly thing to say, but the joke has been eating away at me all weekend. Anyway, Chuseok is it's like Korean Thanksgiving, you know. People they travel back to wherever their parents or grandparents live. They have an enormous feast. It's weird though, like I mean weird as in different, but also weird like a lot of the foods that you eat on Chuseok, like when you for Thanksgiving, Canada and America, you eat foods noted for their deliciousness predominantly, right? Turkey, gravy, ham, mashed potatoes, you know, potluck desserts from Aunt Sally, etc., etc. Chuseok foods are like, from what I can gather, people are like 50-50 on them. You can eat like these fried sort of fish pancakes. Very good. It's almost like a fish latke, if you know what that is. A whole salted mackerel, face and all. You know, I don't mind. I'll eat some whole fish. I love fish. But then there's vegetables I've never consumed in my life. I ate them, but they're not my favorite vegetable. You know, there's spinach. I like spinach. When I put spinach in my mouth, I know what it tastes like. I had one called, we looked it up, because, again, like, some of these are not commonly consumed in North America, so we, like, looked them up in Korean and then translated it. One of them is called, it's from a plant called Platycodon grandiflorus. I don't know, I'm sure we can afford it, but why risk it, right? It's extremely bitter. Not altogether horrible, but very bitter. I forgot the other one, too. Anyway, there were a lot. That's the end of the message there. That's the take-home messages. You don't always eat super delicious stuff. And that's okay. We didn't actually, we just did like our own thing for Chuseok. We didn't go to Kate's parents' house or anything. I think, you know, it's hard because Kate's sister has kids and also lives, you know, a few hours away from us. So, when they're like, hey, do you want to come to Chuseok? We're like, yeah, sure, it's only like a 40-minute drive. And they're like, nah, we're doing it at your sister's place. And we're like, oh, that's 6 hours of driving in a single day. And then they're like, oh, you could stay overnight. Yeah, you can stay overnight, get woken up at 5 a.m. by 2 kids. That might be in my own future at some point. I don't need to piggyback off of yours. And it's harder for them to travel, of course. I don't say, like, why don't you guys come up here at some point? Because I'm like, you got 2 kids. You know, it's, you gotta, like a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, it's hard to travel, I feel you. But I'm happy we were able to just do our own thing instead. And, I mean, that was pretty much it. Played some Pokemon Go, but it rained. That was my weekend. It was a good time, though. Played some Deadly Premonition earlier today on the subscriber stream. Very insane, absurd game. I'm having a fantastic time. It's right up my alley. Why did I wait so long to play it? I don't know. Just hoping that one day they did something insane, like announcing a sequel to it in a Nintendo Direct and porting it to Switch in the very same day. Very fortuitous timing, shall we say. Help me, please. I'd like to leave. I also, no spoilers, please. You know, I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire, as is fairly common. Basically, let me tell you, I'm gonna build the moment a little greater, okay? Children of Morta hit me with the bug. I want to loot, okay? I don't know what happened. You know, every once in a while, you get that insatiable feeling for loot. It happens to me, apparently, once a decade. But I got it right now. And I know I'm gonna loot in Borderlands 3 when we start playing it on Team Unity Tuesday. So I don't want to start playing Borderlands 3 yet. So I was just trying to keep myself away from it all weekend. So I played a lot of Slay the Spire on Switch, mostly because I don't want to play the new character too much and, you know, get too good. I wouldn't want to win too much on YouTube. Have people start thinking I'm actually decent at the game. But while playing Slay the Spire, I watched like the entire first season of this Danny McBride show on HBO, Vice Principals. I gotta tell you, I was surprised. I had heard that it was not very good. But I put it on, I was like, it's near the bottom of the list alphabetically speaking, so it's easy to get to. Started watching it myself, and I was like, this show might actually be pretty great. Plus, 2 seasons long. I can get down with any show that knows not to overstay its welcome. Very few shows do, I mean, I don't know if they're getting better at it. I don't think they're getting worse. You know, when I was a kid, it was like, hey, Friends, great show. 25 seasons. You know, Frasier ran for like 13 seasons? That's insane. It wasn't until I was like halfway through high school that I lived in a world without Frasier. Only recently did I reach the point in my life where I had lived longer with Frasier not being on the air than it being on the air. And I know it gets weirder, because like, I'm gonna have to live to be like 300 years old if we're gonna get to the point where I've lived longer than The Simpsons has been on the air. But anyway, or lived more of my life with The Simpsons off the air than on the air, I should say. I remember giving a speech in like 8th grade in like 2002. Actually, it was like 7th grade, I think. And I was like, the speech, I remember, it was a landmark for me, and a landmark for the world. Because my speech was on The Simpsons. And I said, recently, within the past year, The Simpsons passed The Flintstones as the longest running animated series of all time. Pretty amazing, right? That was 17 years ago. That's absurd. Now I'm like, Family Guy has got to have passed The Simpsons by now. I know it had a year or two where it got canceled or whatever. And then a couple of years where it should have been. But you know what I mean. That show just keeps going. Anyway, what I was gonna say is I feel like, you know, maybe some shows are getting a little bit better about ending in a reasonable time frame. Breaking Bad, 5 seasons. The Good Place is only going to be 4 seasons. Vice Principals was 2 seasons. Okay, maybe it doesn't deserve to be in the same class as those shows, but it is pretty good. Always appreciate it. A show that, you know, minimizes its carbon footprint like that. That's why I like these anthology shows, because it's like every episode is a new season. You know, I've been watching... before bed, this show on Amazon Prime that came out last year called Electric Dreams. It's kind of like a lower budget Black Mirror, but with, like, I say lower budget. What I really mean is, like, worse made. Notice I didn't say worse, just worse made. Because it has, you know, there's a couple episodes. You got Steve Buscemi in one of the episodes. You got, Anna Paquin and Terrence Howard in an episode. You got the guy who played Robb Stark in one of the episodes. You know, you got some star power in the show. But, you know, about, I'd say probably 2/3 of the episodes when they ended, I was like, hey, this episode was pretty good. About 1/3 of them when they ended, I was like, this kind of sucked. But you know what? Yeah, I will watch the next one. It's a new season. That's why I like a good anthology show. That's why I'll always carry a torch for Black Mirror. Because, you know, just because I've disliked a lot of the, I don't know, past probably 10 episodes, doesn't mean they can't pull it back with a good one, you know? It's like a boy band album, you know? You don't, do you own, like, Millennium by the Backstreet Boys or No Strings Attached by NSYNC? Look, not all of the songs are winners, okay? If you wanna, sure, okay, maybe none of the songs are winners. I mean, I'm not going around listening to Bye 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 or, you know, just about the only song from those that I would actually put on now, even though I haven't, is like Larger Than Life by the Backstreet Boys. That's the only, because it's got a little sandpaper, you know? Wow, 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 wow. It's got a little like, almost like a DJ Shadow thing. It got the really bold soundscape, straight out of like an Aphex Twin album. Not really, but you know, I'm trying to bring back some of my street cred. This is gonna be a super quick run, by the way. I apologize and at the same time refuse to apologize because it's my dream come true. But you know, if you could just have one worthwhile episode in one of those anthology shows, that justifies the purchase of the entire album. Mostly because it's free. Well, you pay for it via your Twitch Prime subscription. Yeah, take me up. And dude, I gotta tell you, I'm not trying to brag, but I realistically think I could hit A20 with all 3 characters on the Switch. As of right now, I'm only at Ascension 9 for each of them, but I was busting out some serious runs yesterday. You know, I'm never gonna show you the Switch version of Slay the Spire. Here's the thing. It is... I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I'm gaming's nice guy. People have called me that, I'm sure. I don't know who or when. Sure, someone's uttered that. Either way, the Switch version is just... It's an inferior version. It has loading times that are longer than you'd expect. There's the occasional strange bug, like... Help me. Thank you. Like, you know in Slay the Spire, there's the card memorization minigame where you flip over the cards, and then if you match them, you get to keep them? Well, I matched, like, 4 cards, and then there was a card in the top left corner that didn't have any cards adjacent to it. Your crosshair, or sorry, cursor, forget what game I'm playing sometimes, gets stuck on the top left one. And there's nothing you can do to move it, because I guess, you know, inside of the game's, you know, control mechanism is like, you know, if they hit right, move to the card that's 1 to the right. If they hit left, move to the card that's 1 to the left. But what if there's no card to the left, right, up, or down of you? Then, you know, your inputs are just, you know, they're not hitting anything inside of that function. Luckily, you can use the touchscreen to do it. It took a little bit of creative thinking for me to remember that the Switch had a touchscreen. But that being said, it's still so nice to have the opportunity to play it like that on the couch. Anyway, what was I talking about? I'm happy as well, I got to admit, you know, when I had a little idle time. I wish I'd talked more on this episode about idle time, because I really believe, like, you know, there's a South Park episode that actually, and I'm not a South Park guy, I'm an adult instead, but, no, I mean, like it older than 20. I'm not a South Park guy for the most part, but there's a South Park episode that I think rings a little bit true, where, you know, they're talking about some kind of maybe illicit, maybe not illicit, depending on where you live, drug use. And I believe it's Stan's dad, you know, says, like, it's not that it's bad for you, it's just that it makes you okay with being bored. And sometimes being bored is important, because that's like the first impetus towards, you know, entertaining yourself, which is not only a valuable skill, but you might learn, you know, new stuff in the process. I'm proud of myself, you know, because I was a little bored, and I almost succumbed to buying EA Sports NHL 20. I said to myself, you're not doing anything. You like shooting the puck. Yeah, you got the I know you got last year's game and the roster. All you're gonna see is a slight roster change, and the features haven't changed at all. But I resisted, and instead of buying EA NHL 20, I cleaned my keyboard. And you know what? I think that was a positive choice for me. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See you.